Welcome to Folklore on the Rocks.
Hello, dear friends. We have missed you so much. We really hope that you're safe and well and sane. We are some of those things. It is the most wonderful time of the year. So we wanted to get something out to you guys for spooky season. So this episode is just some chit and chat and swapping of scary stories between Logan and Madman Madriaga, who you may remember from one of our previous episodes, I think number 35, I'm pretty sure. Plus, there's a surprise visit from another illustrious guest that we've had in the past. I do have to let you know up front that the audio is grabbed from Skype, so it's much rougher than our normal episodes. So if you're a new listener, just don't let that scare you away. The audio will be pretty much just like you're hearing right now and in every other future episode and most of our past ones. We promise that the wheels are turning behind the scenes to get the show going again. I just need to get my own shit together and find some time to finish my research for some of my future creatures. It taking this long for us to get to this point is fully my fault, but we do truly intend to get releasing episodes again, and we really have some awesome stuff planned. It will be a little bit of a different format, which we'll tell you guys a little bit more about once we launch again. We've also recently revealed our beautiful, gorgeous, amazing new logo and cover art. And that logo is by the fantastic, uber-talented Brian Weiss. He's from the company RPG and Company. And you may have seen some of his other designs if you watch the show Critical Role. That's how I found him. But he's amazing, and we will look forward to hearing maybe some stuff from him himself this coming season or whatever of our future episodes. Anyway, I will let Logan and Madman take it from here. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I hope that you have a wonderful Halloween, Samhain, Dia de los Muertos, whatever you celebrate in this spookiest of spooky times. So sit back, enjoy, and you will be hearing from us very soon, I hope.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Lindsay, for that great introduction. Yeah, it's good to hear from you. I'm glad you're back. It's good to be back. Sorry, everyone, to take such a long, crazy break. 2020 turned into kind of a crazy year. But, you know, we're still alive and kicking. You just heard from Lindsay a second ago. I wish she could actually join us for tonight's recording, but she had some other stuff to do, so she will join us a little later, and she's still very much part of the show. Let's see. I got a new job. I now work for a marketing company. I'm like a business Mandalorian. I roll in and I show people the way. That's the way I tell myself to make it cool in my own imagination. But you know, so we don't have Lindsay tonight, but we do have our old friend, Mr. Madman Madriaga.
Hello, Logan.
Hey, Madman! Thanks for joining us. Sorry to do such a long and rambling intro back there. I know you've been waiting in the wings. Now, Madman, tell us, where are you joining us from?
I am in upstate New York by Cayuga Lake, outside of Ithaca.
Cool. You took off shortly after our last episode that you joined us for. Tell us, what have you been up to?
Oh, 2020, man.
I know. Oh, totally. Like, where do we start on any of that bullshit? 2020. I mean, like, how can we skate over any of it? It has been a mess. But, you know, we got through. We made it.
Show after another.
If anyone's listening to this, they also made it. Hey, congratulations. Welcome to late October. This goes out to you guys. This is our gift to you for toughing it out through the last 10 months. It's been survived. Challenging. Yeah, for sure. It's been a lot.
And murder hornets and all kinds of things that you survived.
Good job. To those that didn't, we are sorry to hear that. It sucks. Yeah. It was a rough year. we try to be sensitive to that kind of thing. That, part of what has made this year bad for everybody is some people genuinely, they lost loved ones, and that's not easy. So, to those, our hearts go out to them, and we wish them the best, and we'll all heal together. But, I think 2020 has been a year of finding new experiences to kind of deal with not being able to be in groups, not being able to hang out with your friends. Suddenly we can't go to concerts. Oh, man, I miss concerts.
Entire industry, the entire entertainment industry has just tanked. And I've
gone. Yeah.
Off about it.
Yeah, we were going to be in a play before this all started. Both you and I were going to be, and that seems like in another lifetime, that's a million years ago.
We had that ready to go in about April, right when this all hit.
It all kicked off. I remember, I was all set to go to the concert for Dragon Force and Unleash the Archers.
What?
Yep. I had tickets to go see them. Yeah, Dragon Force and Unleash the Archers, who have since blown up. They have since really taken off as a metal band. They've done very well in quarantine. But I remember I had the text message conversation with our buddy Dimitri saying, there's a nasty flu going around. Going to a metal concert right now is really a great way to get sick. So I think I'm going to pass. Oh, and then it like all went from there. It's crazy.
I was at the Arizona Renaissance Festival in April, and they had to close us down 2 weeks early, understandably.
Oh, totally, yeah.
And then there hasn't been. I know Texas Renaissance Festival opened a few weeks ago. We're still waiting to hear back the results. Yeah. We haven't been on the road all year, which is a big bummer for us.
Well, life will go back to normal someday. I like to think that this is an opportunity for innovation and really looking at some things that didn't work, and now's a good chance to try something new. And that's kind of my hopeful attitude. And some might say it's, too much of a Pollyanna optimist, and as we gleefully rocket toward the apocalypse. But we just try to keep on smiling and keep on bebopping. We aren't getting any of this time back is kind of what I mean to say. We're only here once, and it's up to us to make the best of it. So even in times of quarantine, we've done. So what have I been up to? First of all, a ton of video games, lots of them. Yes. Specifically, I have mostly stuck to my VR. My retiring from sit-down video games has really had some really good results on my fitness and overall well-being. So I've tried to stick with the VR. And man, there's some cool VR games out there. Madman, I've seen you more in VR recently than most of my other friends.
It's not the same without you wearing your lizard hat avatar.
I know. I wish I could wear that lizard hat in real life. I really feel it suits me. It's in the words of our mutual friend Dimitri, it really is an expression of us living our best lives. And it is my opportunity to tell you once and for all, you have a grand hat in virtual reality, sir. I wish I could pull that same hat off. I actually think the only other person that could pull that same hat off is Lindsay, and I think she has worn that same hat when she was Carmen Sandiego for Halloween.
Well, she has excellent taste.
She truly does. Yeah, she really does, and we miss her very much, and we can't wait to have her back on the show. But yeah, so VR has been a big thing for me. I've kept up the biking. I have my electric bike, which is fun. It's
with your motor on it.
Oh, yes. So I performed some Dr. Bikenstein operations on it. I added a very powerful electric motor and a good, strong, high-capacity battery to my bike. And wow, it has really upped my usage of my bike a whole lot more, which is pretty crazy. Anyone who's thinking about getting an electric bike, get one. It's a good thing. So yeah, that's my little plug for something that I like that has nothing to do with the rest of the show. So I get one of those every show. I've decided. That's the rules that I just made up. I've also done some gardening over the summer. That's been a fun thing. Of a lot of time spent at home, growing some good tomatoes. It really peppers, lots of good peppers, and just seeing stuff kind of grow every day because you're home every day. Yeah. That's been fun. What about you? What new things have you kind of, I guess, unexpected things have you added to your lifestyle since the COVID hit?
Well, luckily for us, we still had a pretty strong hold on our Etsy store before all this happened. So we've just been, granted, Broomhilda isn't traveling across the country to Renaissance fairs this year, but we've settled down at the workshop up here in upstate New York, and I've been experimenting with different techniques and color patterns and building new brooms and walking sticks and quarterstaffs and trying not to hurt myself.
Cool. So just kind of sharpening your claws and really just using this time to develop your own skill set. That's cool.
Absolutely. And we've had some pretty, I started doing these super rainbow twists on wands and walking sticks. It's taken off. By coincidence, nice. I figured out how to do it right in February around Pride Month. So
that totally fits. That's a cool thing, man. I'm glad that took off for you. Now you say it's Broomhilda. Now is it like a broom, like the Nimbus broom?
Unfortunately, ours don't fly. Universal has the trademark on that. So
damn. Maybe someday. But yeah, I this has been a really cool year for Etsy and crowd-funded projects, and everything has had to kind of pivot and change. It's been a good opportunity for some other things to jump up. Let's see. I don't know. I kind of want to throw out a shout out to Frackenfrocks, another Etsy shop that they have pivoted from fashion design over to mask making. And I know a lot of Etsy stores have done that, but really these are great masks done with really to be done with the same level of care that a real fashion thing would be made. It's kind of cool. And it just shows that no matter what they're doing, these people really care. So really, also there's our mutual friend, Patrick Gibbs. He does Patrick Gibbs movie reviews on Facebook. And so he's doing movie reviews from home, but he does detailed analysis. He really knows his characters. He's a director we both worked with, and he's a cool guy.
I love that guy.
And there's a lot of other kind of at-home projects that people have been doing. And really, I kind of want to, as we kind of jump back into podcasting again, I want to throw in some more plugs. So if you've started an at-home business, if you've had to pivot to working from home, if you had to start an Etsy shop or an eBay store or an Amazon handmade store, tell us about it. And let's help each other. I think it's a cool thing that this is a neat opportunity for anyone who really has to work from home. And hold on, Madman, hang on a second. We're getting another call here.
Okay.
Oh, whoa, dude, it's the Krampus.
That's the Krampus?
Yeah, he's got my number still. Hang on. Yeah.
Yeah, Logan. Oh, it's so good of you to answer again. I want to share one of these memes with you.
Hey man, listen, we can't do this right now. I'm doing a show.
Shh, millennials. Am I right?
All right, yeah, sorry. I'll call you later. Okay, bye.
See you next
Bye.
Bye. Wiedersehen.
What the heck?
Yeah. So the Krampus, ladies and gentlemen, he's also in quarantine. He was one of these anti-maskers for so long, and then he got the COVID, and so now he has to stay in his little cave, and he's so bored. He always hits me up every time I'm on Steam or any of the social media. He shoots me a message, and it's like, dude, I get that you only have one day a year. I understand the parties have been limited, but you gotta chill. So yeah, that's the Krampus. So Madman, I brought you in here. We don't really have a creature that we are featuring. We're gonna jump back in that routine, but that's really Lindsay's domain. She's got every creature planned out for as long as this show can possibly go, and that's why I love working with Lindsay. She is a level of organized that I can never hope to be. But I really kind of wanted to do a Halloween show. To us, really, Halloween is a big holiday. To everyone out there, I wish you a very, very happy Halloween. We raise a glass to you. I get that many of us are at an age when we can't have as much candy. We've learned that sugar is the devil. But, nevertheless, try to enjoy it as much as you can from wherever you are. Because really, to me, Halloween is in Salt Lake, it's always when everything changes color. And it's that little pocket of real, true fall where everything changes color and it starts to get cold, but not yet frozen. So you can have a couple last sit around a campfire telling scary stories nights.
Just for one or two times it snowed on us on Halloween, and nothing made me more angry when I was a kid. When I would go out to trick or treat, but then had to put a coat over my costume.
Oh, I hate that. I hate that. If I ever have kids, we're gonna figure out ways to thermally insulate your costume so you don't have to wear a coat over the top. We'll figure it out. Someday little Logan Jr. and or Logina or whatever.
That's what he's called now, Logan.
Yeah. No. I actually no. I've already decided on the name of my daughter. See, the name of my daughter. The goal of my marriage would be to be given as little responsibility as possible.
Oh,
so the name of my daughter will be either Cherry Bomb or Chainsaw, and then I will never be given that responsibility ever again.
Cherry Bomb or Chainsaw?
Cherry Bomb Young. I think it's got some ring to it. Chainsaw Young. It's neither masculine nor feminine, but it kind of defines itself as it slices its way through this world. So I've had a lot of time to think about this stuff in quarantine, Madman.
As we're entering the apocalypse, yes, that is an appropriate name.
As we roll on forward. Yeah, for whatever world comes after this. Yeah, indeed. But, there's still going to be the scary stories around the campfire. And there's still going to be stories we tell our kids. And, to me, I think it's funny that I recently went back and reread the book, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark by Alvin Schwartz.
Yeah, it's so good.
I went back and reread it.
Those illustrations gave me nightmares for years.
Totally. Yeah, that was my biggest takeaway from it, is that the stories are rather tame compared to the illustrations, which are horrifying, which are the stuff of nightmares. And to me, that's a Halloween tradition. Those books were always busted out around the late summer into fall, all the way up to Halloween. Those were the books we read, and those became the stories that were retold. The story of like the hook hanging off the car door.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or the babysitter, where the call is coming from inside the house.
And those because we've all had times when we're out there, we're with our date, we're in the car, and the moment you hear a scratch, it's like, oh man, here comes the hook guy.
Oh yeah, and I'll tell you, that's when you don't let the imagination run wild. Don't start suggesting the crazy things that your mind is imagining, because it just becomes a crazy improv game of stacking terrors on top of each other. So yeah, that's why the hook, that story really resonates. And even the funny ones, even the story of the Viper. Do you remember that story? The Viper. No. He's the little man. He calls on the phone and he's like, "I am the Viper. I am coming there in 20 minutes." And and it's like, "Oh no, the terror builds. Oh no." And then the next thing he calls again, "I am the Viper. I am here now." hello. And they open the door, and it's like, hello, I am the Viper. I have come to wash and wipe the windows. And it's like a joke, but it still has that kind of element of horror, and I really like it.
I just, the entire time you're telling this story, just imagine Logan with those plastic fangs screaming out the window, I am the Viper!
I am the Viper! Yes, yeah, just imagine that. That is a scenario that has actually happened more than one time. Yeah, that's... But yeah, so I kind of wanted to invite you over, Madman, via the Skype here to tell us some of the stories that you were told around campfires. What are some of the scary stories that you were told as we lead into Halloween and this spooky season?
The scary stories that really stick with me are the ones my dad tells me or told me back then. And my dad was raised in the Philippines, the first of his family to travel over to America.
Your dad is a cool guy. I've met him a couple of times. We did a story during our last season. I've decided that this is the season 2, episode 1, by the way. The season premiere. New style. Same spirit, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, your dad, super cool dude. We did a show that had a Filipino character telling the story, and I based the accent entirely on your dad. It was... He has a very unique kind of rhythm to the way that he speaks. Yeah. So okay, cool. What are some of the stories you got from him?
Okay, so before the family moved down to Cagayan de Oro, which is in Mindanao, the larger southern island, he lived up in Luzon, which is the higher, larger. There's thousands of islands over there. But
I looked it up on the Wikipedia of the Philippines. For those of you that don't know, it's just to the right of Vietnam, and it's a zillion little islands. It is an archipelagic nation, which is fun to say, and probably a powerful player on the Scrabble board.
I could never win Scrabble.
Well, cool. All right. So the Philippines. So we're going to do some stories kind of from the Philippines tonight. So what have you got for us?
So when my dad was a kid, he lived around the central Luzon in the Bataan region. And for those of you who know your World War II history, Bataan was the site of a really bad battle. The Japanese were attacking the Americans. They were defending the Philippines. After about 2 or 3 months, the Japanese won. And in 1942, they did a massive death march of Filipino and American soldiers across the island. Really gruesome stuff.
Yeah.
Well, my dad would tell me stories about how around a certain time of year, if you would walk out in the middle of the night across the rice fields, he said he and his brothers would see marching soldiers and the shadows of men crossing the fields at night in a big line. A giant congregation, and you could hear people crying, and he said he could hear Japanese men shouting things that he didn't understand because he can't speak Japanese, but he knew the language, or he could understand or pick up on the language. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that would happen at least once a year. They would climb out, sit down, and watch this procession. And it didn't occur to him that these weren't real people, that these were something else, until he was an adult years later when he learned the history. And that always freaked me out. Just a big trail of ghosts. And he would always talk about it he talked about it like it was a fact. Like, yeah, it's this time of year. We're going to go sit out by the rice fields and watch the parade. Years later, Grandma would tell him that wasn't a parade. There's no one supposed to be out there.
That's crazy. So he sees, and he would see them again and again. Oh, that's
Yep.
Well, and that would fit with what has been largely accepted about ghosts, that around these events of great tragedy and turmoil. Really, that's where spirit energy often will build up, and so for something like that, I wouldn't be surprised if there was some residual force left over from that kind of thing. That's a serious event and changed a lot of people's lives.
Yeah. But the one that got me every time, this is my favorite story from my dad. Back in the days when he was young, the people in his area, I don't want to call it a village because he never described it as one at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever at the end of the day, so side note, what my grandpa and his dad did for a living was, I'm pretty sure it was poaching, but they go out into the jungle and collect fruit to sell at the market.
Okay. All right.
And he would bring my dad, and he'd sit my dad by a tree in the middle of the jungle and have him wait there while Grandpa climbed up trees and brought back fruit. That is what they did for a living for a while there. So here's my poor dad. He's waiting. He spends his whole night waiting in the jungle alone for my grandpa to come back with fruit. So then they'd haul the fruit back, and my family and a handful of others would meet at I would say the end of the day, but I think it's technically in the morning when like twilight has settled in and the sun is just about to rise,
Mm-hmm.
Well, Dad, he comes back from sitting alone all night. He's too tired to wait for the family. So he asks if he could just walk home. And they say, sure. So he grabs a blanket and starts walking. He decides to take a detour through the rice fields because it's a faster way home, he tells me. So he's out there, and then he starts hearing noises. He starts hearing people yelling. Far off in the distance, he starts hearing gunshots. So Dad just takes off running, and he's running through the rice fields. Things are cutting up his ankles. His shoes are soaked through because, it's rice paddies. And he finally gets home and he slams the door. An hour later, his family come roaring in. And they turn to tell him, you missed it. Something came out of the rice fields. It looked like a ghost, and it ran right for our house. So your uncles tried to shoot it down. And yes, so they were shooting at my dad because they didn't know he was going to take that one home. And the blanket he had grabbed was a white blanket.
And the default thought is, must be a ghost. Let's shoot it.
Let's shoot it. Exactly.
Makes total sense. Yeah, totally stands up. Still, though, he's lucky he lived to tell the tale. So
then that became our thing. Okay, if you're going to go out, don't wear a white blanket and don't go running through any fields. You'll get shot at. That was my dad's story that he would tell me every Halloween.
Yeah, my mom had a good scary story that actually happened to her, and it was so she grew up in an area next to a graveyard, and the caretaker at the graveyard, I don't know if it was actually the grave digger, but had a pet monkey, and at one point she and a group of her friends during a sleepover went out into the graveyard and were startled by an actual monkey, and one of them fell into a grave.
What the hell?
Think of it from their perspective, though. A small girl in the dark in a graveyard in a time before 1984. I won't tell how old my mom is, but it was before then. And yeah, so and all of a sudden you see in the darkness a simian twisted face with long incisors and canines, screeching at you in the darkness. That's a scary thought. That's an
totally
unexpected thing.
Monkeys?
I
I've
remember.
been back to the Philippines and spent
Mm-hmm.
nights out there. You don't hear birds, you hear monkeys. And
Yeah,
they're
monkeys. We did a voice for a monkey in a story a little while ago, and I did him to have the voice of Elvis Presley, and that was from Ernie Hudson's line in Congo, where he's like, every monkey in the jungle thinks he's Elvis Presley right now, as they're listening to them just howling and hooting, just screeching over the jungle.
That's a deep
Yeah. And that's the second time I brought it up on this show. I mean, I will bring it back into the collective consciousness. Next time I want to see a meme of that.
That's one big Twinkie.
That's one big Twinkie. That's a better Ernie Hudson line for sure.
Sure.
Okay, I will settle for that becoming a meme. Okay, cool. All right, well, Madman, thank you for sharing those kind of scary stories. They're even scarier when they have an element of them being real.
They're just stories for other people.
Yeah.
They're probably not altogether that scary. I don't know. It's what I was raised with. And when your dad comes from a far off mystical island nation, it all sounds horrifying when you're a kid.
Yeah. It's some scary stuff for sure. And
he used to tell me things like they played this game called Rat Hole, which is
mm-hmm.
you'd go out and you find a hole and you take turns sticking your hand in it. The person who gets bit by a rat loses, so you're out of the game. It's like Russian roulette, but with rats.
Ooh.
My dad would tell me these things, and I'd be like, "Are you serious? What are you guys doing out there?" But no, that's the type of world that he was raised in and lived in, and scary place.
Yeah.
Out there.
Yeah, death was ever present during our parents' lives, and I try to kind of keep that in mind. A lot has changed during their time, so you try to be as patient as you can when you help with printer issues or the Wi-Fi. I get that things are pretty sketchy right now with the COVID and all of 2020, the dumpster fire that has been. Oh man, I don't want to harp on how bad this year has been, but it's been a funky year, I feel like somebody upset the time-space continuum, and I don't know if it's me, but if it is me, I'm sorry.
This person keeps trying to go back to fix it, and they keep making it worse.
Yeah. I mean, this is a terrible movie plot. This character is really fucking up. And again, I'm not sure if it's me. I think it's like a 7% chance that it's me. That my direct actions. Madman. Oh,
yes.
This is pretty crazy. So back in Salt Lake, we had like an unseasonably early kind of spring. There was some rioting back in April before any of this happened. And I was riding across downtown Salt Lake, and I saw a guy. His feet were out from underneath a car, shaking violently.
What the hell?
And it was, and as you see it, you immediately identify something is wrong. Nothing is right about this situation.
Wait, so
and I'm on my bike
underneath a car.
Yeah, and what had happened was it was a dude going to open up his car, and he began having a major seizure, dropped to the ground, kind of scrambled a little bit under his car, and cars are zipping past him and everything. So I set my bike up with blinking lights as a barricade, and I get there and I help get this guy first of all out of traffic. We got to get him out of traffic. Yeah. And I throw my backpack underneath him so he quits bashing his head on the pavement. And he kind of comes to. And he's by then somebody comes out of the apartment complex, I think a neighbor who's going to call an ambulance. And this guy looks at me and he says, "No, you can't make me stay. I've seen what's coming."
What the hell? Wait,
I know. That's an actual thing that happened, Madman. That's the thing
No
that
way.
happened. It's insane. That has been the kind of year this has been. Like, this has been.
Holy shit, dude. That would haunt me for my life.
Yeah. That's what this dude says to me after I save his goddamn life. I've seen what's coming. I'm like, fuck you too, sir. And I even said, as the ambulance pulled up, I said, better hands than mine have arrived. I'll be on my way. This planet should go back to the dinosaurs. It really should. Humans have had a great run. I love most of you. Some of you, most of the time. There we go. Some of you, most of the time. But
Most of the time.
yeah, but the rest of you, yeah.
Like, so driving back from Arizona after it closed, I drove through Vegas with all the lights off, and it was the most haunting thing I've ever seen.
I'll bet.
Vegas lights out.
Oh, I'll bet. I thought downtown Salt Lake was haunted when there were no one is out. I would go through on my bike and see just the empty streets, and just it was a ghost town. I'll bet Vegas was even more haunting.
Dude, it was creepy. Like, because usually you could see that place from miles away. It's Vegas. But I crept right up on it, and I was driving through the middle of Vegas, and I didn't realize I was there until I passed the shadow of the Luxor. And I was like, well, damn, this is the apocalypse. The one city that never goes out is out.
Now it's the dark spot in the desert. Bummer. Yeah. So yeah, but there's some good things. There's some good things in 2020. 2020 yet holds good things as we roll forward. I think we're in for a good Halloween. I feel like everyone in their own way is going to celebrate Halloween as hard as they can. So Halloween, Madman, do you have a costume in mind?
Oh, not really. Not this year. I'm not going to any parties, so you know me. There was a big swath of time where I would sink hundreds of dollars so I could win awards that didn't mean anything.
I know just what you mean. Yeah, I've really leaned into Halloweens before, and I'm often the guy that people call when they need when they need costume pieces, when they need advice on costumes. I'm the dude. I only got one offhand text this year that was, "You don't happen to have lederhosen by any chance, do you?" Just again, of anybody else that may seem strange. Of me, totally acceptable. Like, that is very much within my wheelhouse.
That seems to be something I remember you having. Don't you have lederhosen?
I have brown shorts and suspenders, which will work in a pinch, but really aren't truly authentic, I guess. And so right after Halloween, we've got the elections coming up. We've got the elections, Madman. Oh, it's finally here. It's finally here. I'm sorry to anybody who can't see that Donald Trump is not a good idea. I'm sorry. I have tried to reason with you. I have tried to get you to see, but really, get past the orange man bad stuff. He listens to bad people. And I know we aren't a political podcast, but I would love to continue being a podcast. I would love to not get blacklisted as we become Gilead. I don't know. So anyway, vote. Please vote. Even if your vote gets thrown away, like vote enough times and with enough people. Tell your community to vote. So that when missing ballots do turn up in ditches and stuff, it's still not enough. Make this, wash this dude out.
Absolutely.
Because I think it's become apparent some big changes need to happen. But I don't think Trump is the dude to do it, man.
Years.
A bad plan is better than no plan. and I don't even think Biden is like a bad plan. He's just a plan. It doesn't excite me. It doesn't make me like, fuck yeah. But it takes a lot to get me to get really revved up. It needs a chainsaw and a cherry bomb. But
cherry bomb, some later hosen.
Some later hosen.
And a Krampus.
And the Krampus. Yeah. But and at least 3 dinosaurs. No less.
There's better be wearing sunglasses.
Oh, at all times. But really, please vote, please. And I'm willing to accept. I am willing to accept if more people genuinely vote and make their voice heard, and they want Donald Trump to lead us forward. I'm willing to sit and listen as it plays out. But I'm telling you now, I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think that's a good idea. As the dude from sitting here where I am, looking at where this country's headed and where it's been, I just don't think that's a good idea. So yes, please vote. And then anyway, at some point, I think we're going to see a vaccine for the COVID. We're going to look forward to that.
Hope.
I mean, I think we've got some very smart people investing a lot of money in this. I think this is something that there's a lot of motivation to get it done.
And it's going to be fascinating to see how things will change, even when the vaccine is out and the virus has been more or less eliminated. Like, because this year, I'm sure, has changed the world for
irreparably.
The rest of forever.
Yeah. We're gonna stare down a Halloween in quarantine. It is the first Halloween, the first October, where everyone gets to wear a mask every day. I love anyone.
Masks.
Yeah, if anyone is leaning into that, send that to us, please, on our Twitter, on our Instagram. Let's see, Folklore on the Rocks on Instagram, Folklore Rocks on the Twitter. We are here. We're to stay. We are not going anywhere. Yeah. So yeah, that's Halloween. We are living and breathing as much Halloween as we can here. Madman, I'm glad you're doing it out there. It's
great,
especially with the candy. This is the only time of year I eat candy. And I know that like American candy is like mostly wax, and it doesn't contain less than 2% nuts and might contain rat. I get it, but it's also a tradition. It's like I get it, but yeah. So yeah, Halloween in quarantine, we got that to look forward to. If down the line, Madman, what we got you here? Oh man, we got a Christmas coming up. We got a holiday season coming up.
That is true. Yeah,
and man, how do you think it's going to be different in quarantine? I think that there's going to be families that want to get together and can't.
Absolutely.
I think it's going to be a lonely time. Yeah.
I think Amazon's going to get way more business this year than they usually do.
For sure. Yeah.
Without question, because damn, haven't we all been just using Amazon so we don't have to go outside?
Oh, totally. Yeah. If you can Lysol down a package, that's better than a trip out for sure.
Mm-hmm. Christmas orders have already picked up for us, or is starting to roll in, which is pretty great.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. It's so hard to say.
I know. Yeah, I have any of the answers. Like any of this will survive until Christmas. Like really,
right.
It's.
Day by day life I've ever lived.
Yeah, that's way down the line. It's way down the line. And that's been illustrated by so many pushbacks on projects. But there will be a new Dune movie coming up someday. At some point in the future, we may see a new Dune movie. I read Dune over the quarantine. That was a fun thing.
Did you?
Yeah, I made it through.
It's been a long time since I touched that book.
Oh, I have tried to run up that warped wall. If you're familiar with the terminology from the Ninja Warrior, To several
Yes,
attempts, I have tried to get up that stupid book. It is a hard book to jump into. It really is. It is rough, but boy, I like it. It's a neat world, and I'm told that Dune Messiah is really cool too. So I might jump on that before the movie even comes out. But whatever. Also, The Mandalorian, Star Wars Mandalorian is coming out. The season 2, that'll be cool.
Oh yeah. It's
I
what I'm looking for right now.
Yeah, I thought that. I honestly thought the first season was one of like the better Star Wars properties to come out.
It's absolutely Star Wars.
It's good Star Wars. It's excellent Star Wars.
Yeah.
And really, to me, Star Wars is a mythos that surrounds a story. You know, it is. That's why I like it. It is a much larger story than just the Skywalker legacy. It is a world. There's a lot to look forward to.
Well, I don't know. I could say this. I was gonna say things can only look up, but we don't know what's in our future. So I hope I didn't speak out loud. But I truly hope that things are going to be looking up. I really do.
I'm right there with you, Madman. I think it's become clear that a lot of things need to change. And I understand that people prioritize different things in different areas. But really, let's look at who is really pushing for real change versus who is just making noise and who is just distracting and who is listening to people who just want to make a buck off of you. And that's not something that is a good thing. Before we get, too buried down in the mire of, we live in a time when our phones are always listening, when every conversation gets parsed for content for advertising. I get, and really, it's we're living in tough times, but to everybody who's toughing it out, who's just figuring out how they can fit in this world. Because I get it,
The other day, that had nothing to do with anything. But we've had some bear sightings up here where we're at. And a few months ago, I was out doing my thing, walking across the lawn, and a bear comes trundling out of the woods. And instead of doing the smart thing, which would be to turn around, I made a lot of noise and chased at it.
Excellent. And it scooted off?
It sure did.
Nice.
I haven't told anyone that I did it because, in hindsight, it doesn't matter to the size of the bear. It would have destroyed me.
That's true. Oh, bears are terrifying animals.
My fight or flight response is kind of broken. And if danger is around, I tend to run toward it instead of away from it.
Mm-hmm. Understandable. Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't seen a bear since. So I'm hoping I have saved us from the bears.
Well done. Oh yes, now they'll redouble their efforts. But hey, it's not every day you can claim to have a bear encounter. I've just been taking care of dogs. They're not quite the same thing. Not quite the same.
Not quite.
But yeah, well, thank you so much, Madman. We really appreciate you coming on. To everyone who's still listening out there, thanks for sticking with us. We may be the last podcast in the world. I don't know. I don't listen to any others. No, I do, and there's way better ones than ours. So thanks for listening to ours. But really, to those of you who have listened this far in, thank you. We are going to keep going in this. There's going to be some more scary stories, but I really wanted to get this out there before Halloween to say Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah. I mean, really, if I could live anywhere, Halloween Town would be pretty high on that list, man.
Oh, hell.
So it's however you get spooky this season, do it to the maximum. Crank it to 11. for everyone who can't. Okay? All right, Madman. Well, thank you for joining us. Madman, do you have how can people find you on the Etsy, on the Instagrams, on the Facebooks?
I work for Broomhilde. That's BROOMHILDE. And broomhilde.com will take you right to our Etsy page. And we do custom-made brooms and walking sticks and magic wands and quarterstaffs. And from what I understand, and I could be wrong, I'd have to double check, but the last time I heard, we're just one of 3 or 4 people in the United States that make brooms the old-fashioned way. So crank it by hand.
Well, that's neat that you're doing that, Madman. I think we could all use a little more magic in our lives, and I think that's to have something handmade and to have something that you really appreciate. Really, this is it. This is life, ladies and gentlemen.
It's true.
And so find a way to love it. Yeah. If a handmade magic broom is what you want in this life, then order it. God damn it. I will. It's worth it. There will always be more money, and happiness just amplifies the rest of the time you've got here.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Logan.
Ah, you're welcome, Madman. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap it up there. I think we're in a good spot. Everybody, thank you for joining us. Check us out on the Instagram, on Folklore on the Rocks, or if you want to check out me personally, I'm at Thag Simmons. See the Booru episode, I think, for why that is. But so, and we are on Twitter at Folklore Rocks, which, yeah. Even through the apocalypse, even through the dumpster fire that is 2020, we're shouting it out and screaming it into the night. You know, we're not stopping. We are the voice. You can't stop the signal, and that's all I got to say about that.
We won't stop, and we can't stop.
And we shan't stop, indeed.
We can't stop.
All right, thank you, everybody. Good night. Bye.
Bye.